We got a brand new batch of Nintendo Switch 2 rumors, which have brought up some rather interesting questions in regards to some new features and a release date. But let's break that all down, up next. What's going on, guys? It's Kalo, and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. Alrighty, it's been rather quiet on this front, and of course we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. I believe the last time we talked about such a thing was this idea that Nintendo was skipping Gamescom, and of course that ever so impending 2025 release. But let's start off today with some alleged new features coming to the console, which sound pretty interesting on the surface. So what's happening here is the Spanish video game website Vandal is claiming they got some information on the console, and this is all coming from sources within peripheral manufacturers. Now, according to Vandal, the Switch 2 Joy-Cons will attach to the console magnetically, unlike the current rail system that is in place with the Switch as we know it. And speaking of the older Switch, it's unclear if you're gonna be able to use your older Joy-Cons on the new system. But don't you worry, at least it's being claimed here that you will be able to use your Pro Controller, and quite honestly, if you're not able to use the old Joy-Cons, I really don't think that's a big problem. And that's mainly because of Joy-Con drift, so let's leave that in the past. But at the same time, I can see why this could suck for some people, mainly because, at least from what I've seen, there are people out there that invested so much in Joy-Cons over the years, so that's kind of like they're being left behind. Now we got another development in the Switch 2 saga here, because a Korean news website might have revealed some details as far as manufacturing goes for this console. According to this website, manufacturing for the console will be a collaborative effort between Nintendo and Samsung. I brought up this fact because this is a Korean-based website, but it's also worth noting Samsung is also based out of that same region. And again, I know when it comes to rumors just like this, we gotta take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, this is rather interesting. So, two things came from this all. First up, according to the website, and just real quick before we get into all this was done by Google Translate, so forgive me if this sounds a little bit off. Quote, according to the industry on the 24th, Nintendo Switch 2 is scheduled to be released as early as the second half of this year. In fact, in the parts industry, much of the contract for the initial product has been negotiated. And just like that, the rumor mill reels you back in for this idea of a late 2024 release date for the Switch 2. But I've kinda made peace with this idea that the console will be coming out in 2025. And that's mainly because every rumor we've gotten recently points to 2025 and not 2024. But what if I told you both rumors could kind of be true in a weird way? Nintendo could have contracts in place with production lines. And at the same time, Switch 2 consoles, as we speak, could be produced and ready to go by late 2024. But at the same time, that doesn't mean they'll go on to release them. And Nintendo right now could be saying, hey, let's slow things down, let's build up the supply, and let's face it, whenever the release date for this console gets revealed, demand is going through the roof. And the Switch 2 really wasn't delayed for a hardware problem, at least according to recent reports. The console was delayed apparently due to software, mainly because Nintendo wanted a strong lineup of games for the console. Basically, in short, this new report doesn't change too much on my end as far as Switch 2 being released in 2025. If anything, this all backs the idea more, and that's because mainly they're building up supply to meet demand. And to wrap things up, let's talk about this little rumor as far as the console screen goes. Quote, it's being reported that Nintendo considered China's BOE panel for the next generation OLED model, but ultimately decided to use Samsung's display panel. Even though BOE's proposed panel price was lower than Samsung, it is said to have taken patent risks, etc. into consideration. However, if Nintendo decides to release only LCD models rather than OLED due to price burden, it is highly unlikely that Chinese panels will be used. Now, I bring up this point because this all does sound like there's a chance Nintendo opts for an OLED model, at least at some point during the Switch 2's life cycle. And again, I guess that's a no-duh. But one thing they could do at launch is launch with multiple SKUs. And Nintendo could do this by launching the Switch 2 with a cheaper LCD model or a high-end OLED, but again, that's kind of wishful thinking. And quite honestly, I think they do the same thing they've been doing with the Switch. That's released various models of the Switch 2 over many years during its life cycle. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this question off to you guys. What do you guys think of this newest batch of Switch 2 rumors? The magnetic Joy-Con thing is the only thing that really sticks out to me, mainly because I want to know when you're holding the console, is there a chance these things fly off? But at the same time, there's gotta be a latch mechanism that keeps things in place. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. But that about does it here. I've been Kalo, I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.